The Threadlings of Filmmaking Production Diary. I am your host, Miguel Ortega, and this is my co-host, Tran Ma.
Hey everyone.
Um, Give me 1 second. So yeah, welcome back, everybody. We did have some weird issues going on just now with the Restream tool we're using. Um, yeah, hopefully everything works out fine. So yeah, we're just showing a weekly progress on the making of a animated short film in Unreal Engine 5. We did one previously called The Voice in the Hollow, and this is a new one called The Threadlings. And this is our main little guy called Caught. So yeah, so how's everybody doing? JD? How's it going?
Just um, images or like stuff with emojis. It just says the word.
Yeah, it's so weird, right?
Yeah, there's actually a picture. So yeah,
What the hell is that picture? It's like a Ninja Turtle.
that's what it looks like.
It's a Ninja Turtle?
Yeah, but if you actually show it, it's like it's a character, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, this week we've been still trying to get these characters completely set up. Um, so one of the issues that we had is we thought the rigs were completely ready to go, and what we realized is in this film we're stepping up our rigs substantially from the Voice in the Hollow. So we have these really nice face rigs here. However, they completely broke when we set up the motion capture the way we set it up on the Voice in the Hollow. So we had the mocap working, but now our beautiful face rigs were completely broken, which completely sucks. So now everything is all working together. And let me open this up real quick. I'll show you guys.
And just to explain, like Miguel is doing that part, and he is not a rigger, so
I'm not a rigger.
it's very tricky to do something that you're not specialized in. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely not.
yeah. Like if I were, most of the time what I'm doing is something that I actually do specialize in. So it's still really hard. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
So here we have, let's see where this is. So you can see now as the face is animated, if you look over on the face controls, everything is working. So that required a completely different setup. So none of this was happening before. So this is being completely driven by a motion capture source. Let me see what's going on here. Um, so this is something I recorded myself doing, and now it's just being applied onto the character. Okay, and you could see all of those controls are moving on the right-hand side, which is great. We also have the motion capture now fully working. So if we came over here and brought in, for example, uh, someone doing karate, right? I could just come over here and he will now be doing karate as well. Okay.
God, God looks so funny to me.
Doing karate, yeah. But it's pretty cool. So we could just come over here and like just hide this. And we could just go to none and just show the polygons. So you'd have to fix the hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That one, I guess, does not have.
Oh, his teeth are flying off.
Oh, I have to fix that. I know what that is.
Yeah, but you can, you guys can see there's a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
Um, there's a question here. Sorry, I haven't been consistent with the streams. Did you make several blend shapes for the faces? I'm assuming so.
Yeah. the face has over 100 blend shapes, I think.
Yeah, there's the base. I don't know if you explain it better. There's a base blend shapes, and then there's like combo shapes, right?
Yeah. So there's 52 core shapes, and then there's probably 100 combination shapes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So let's see. This is correct. This is correct. This is correct. Just trying to figure out why this is acting all funky. And that's all rotation only, rotation only. So anyway, you can see this is what's keeping us up at night. In terms of the hands, one of the things that we've been doing is using this tool called Studio Library. Um, and we use this a lot on the Voice in the Hollow, and it's pretty cool. So when you're doing animation, even if you have mocap hands, the fingers tend to sometimes get wonky, especially when we had these. I forget what the name of the brand was. Do you remember, Tran? It's a mocap gloves, but what happened is it's like a one size fits all.
Yeah.
And the problem is one size does not fit all for gloves, right? So when we would put these gloves on someone who had smaller hands than the gloves, the fingers would get messed up because it would, they would animate like
Like
gloves were moving on a hand that was too small for the gloves.
I have I can show like the image. So
The
what that
Manus
look.
gloves, yeah.
Yeah, so like these gloves are really thick. Uh, and if you were to wear them, you wouldn't be able you just lose our natural articulation of your hands.
Yeah.
Like they're much thicker than like garden gloves or like work gloves. But let's say even if they were as thick as work gloves and you were kind of trying to record that performance, it would just feel very stiff because your hands are now literally are stiff. So yeah.
Yeah. So they've actually changed that design now. We actually have a new version that we got for this film. So we have two sets now, but the new one basically just connects like an adapter to the tips of your fingers. That way,
Is it this one? I actually haven't looked at it.
yeah, it's no, no,
It's another one.
it's different. Or is it that one? No, I don't think it's that one. But
But that's the one we used before.
yeah, so now it just basically figures it out based on the tips of the fingers that so that it doesn't really matter if stop and hands are not perfect, and why would you still use this thing? Because we were still getting the timing from the performance, um,
You should.
but then we would constantly be going in and hold on one second. We'd still be going in and trying to fix the poses all the time because we're like most of the time your hands are just kind of doing this. They're just kind of neutral, just doing this, and then they'll do this sometimes, they'll do this, but most of the time your hands don't move as much as you think they're actually moving, unless you're trying to make a point and then you're doing this and that and whatever, or if you're angry or whatever. But most of the time while you're walking around you're not doing that much stuff.
But even if you are angry, you might be like, I'm mad, but you're not doing this. Hey, I'm
You're not
mad.
doing you're not doing that.
No one does that
Yeah.
actually, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
What's up, Bobby? uh
You do have another question here as follow up from JD Smith.
the question is
100.
100. I'm assuming so many because it's not a detailed human face. In other words, easier.
That's actually not that many. Like I think
Yeah, that's actually very little.
yeah, like a real human face is like much more.
At Tippet, we would have like 600, 700 shapes. So it's actually 100 is very little,
Yeah.
considering. Yeah. So anyway, so the point is, I found myself constantly trying to clean up the poses. Like, no, just the timing is perfect, but I want the hands to be a certain way. So you'd have to come over here, uh, and grab this and just kind of make them feel more neutral. And that's where this tool comes in. So here you could basically save all these poses that you do, and you can see like now I could just come over here. Of course, it's erroring it out now that I'm trying to show it. Let me just set this up real quick. Um, 1 second. Oh, I know what it is. Let me just show it on this here.
I don't
Be-
deal with any of this part. This is
It's
all
because it's
Miguel's.
referenced in. So you could see some of the issues that are already dealing with. Can you hear it?
Yeah, now he's coming. Now he's going through.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So you could see the hands are fanning out, and I'm basically hitting all these different positions or poses, I should say, that I want the character to be able to hit, and I don't have to redo it all the time because you're basically going to be doing most of the time. It's like this or this. You know, he's angry, he's this, relaxed. Even this, like one of the things that I found myself doing a lot is you could do this, for example. Like I have this pose here and this pose here. You can see they're very similar,
Oh, they look nice too, but
right?
then they are different enough.
But
Like,
they're different enough. But what's cool is it's this that I could come over here and just blend between them. So just to give it a little bit of life, I could bring it all the way there or whatever. But
and it's a big deal. I remember when we didn't have the hands working on voice in the hall. They even just like a wrong, bad pose is terrible.
yeah. So
But
you can see you could blend it in just a little bit.
so it can even give you a sense. You can even kind of quickly animate things yourself
Oh, totally.
without having to have an animator.
So what I would do is I would look at the mocap shapes or poses, and I would be like, okay, pretty much I know which shapes I'm gonna hit. Um, so I'd make them because I'd be like, okay, most of the time the hands are doing this, and this. Save those poses, and then when I would see it all broken, so just to give you an example, I'd get something that looked like this. Like this would be like that. Uh, this would be like this, right? This would be like that. Like you'd get some stuff that looks wonky. This thing would break all the freaking time, all
Yeah,
the time.
you would get a lot of messed up stuff.
The
Like,
thumb would do something like that. So you'd get some shape like that, and you're like, oh crap, like that sucks. But so you would look at the shape that's all messed up. Again, the timing was perfect because it was based on mocap. And you're like, what does that look the most like? You know what? It's probably this one here, or it's this one here. Key it, and now you have the timing is going to be perfect, like you're because it's based on the mocap, but the pose now looks really clean. Um, you could come over here, and you could do that. And like when you look at this, you're like, what is he going to do? Like web slinging? And it's not necessarily so much about doing that as it is about doing that extreme. So then you could blend just a little bit, right? So you could just do that or bring it back, right? So you just have that little bit of range here.
but even that, when you're just sliding that around, it feels like, you know, you do feel alive,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is pretty cool. Especially, I mean, even if you are an animator, would you want to do everything from scratch every time?
No, it sucks.
Yeah. So,
So you could see here it's fanning out, it's closing, and you could take it further. You could go way beyond what you need and break it. But it's great. So he's casting his magic. You have that. So the way you would do it, and of course I have my neutral pose here, and at any point I could just do this, for example, and I could just mirror it over to the other side, and you can see now it's on the other side.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. So um, if I just go to my neutral pose here, we could just be like, okay, like what do we want to do? Let's do a version where maybe just his pinky's out, right? So once you have more of them done, it becomes much easier because you already have a good starting point. But I'm going to just pretend I don't. So I'm just going to grab this, this, and I could start just putting him in position. There is some volume loss there that we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, but that's not so bad. I don't think we have a lot of, well, I don't assume we would just have a bunch of close-ups of the hands.
No,
Not all the time.
no. So we could just grab this, just close it back up. And again, I don't necessarily have to do this at this point because I already have a closed fist pose. So I would normally be using that as a starting point. But just to show how to set it up, and I'll grab that. And maybe we just keep it like this. Maybe this one comes out a little bit more. So you have to be a little careful with selecting the right controls, maybe something like that. Okay. If you're happy with that, if you go, that's the one I want, then we would just come over here, select those controllers. So I'm going to hide my joints. So I'll just show my polygons and my curves. I'll just do this. Okay. Find a good angle that clearly shows the pose. Come over here. Create a new pose. Let's call this pinky.
Pinky flex.
Would you like to capture a thumbnail? Yes. Captures the thumbnail, and there it is. So now we go to our neutral pose.
And so when it mirrors, it just mirrors over by itself. It just knows how to do it.
Yeah. Well, you have to set your midpoint. It's called what do they call it? A mirror table. So you have to create your mirror table.
Then that's how it knows how to mirror it
Yeah.
over. That's nice. You're not doing it 2 times.
No. And you can
And-
see now we have that pinky pose, so we could always hit that.
And then the studio libraries are free.
It's free.
What a great tool.
Yeah, it's really kick-ass. And you could see like thumb in, thumb out, or thumb out, thumb in. So you just have to go in and just find like what other poses could we do, you know, and just create them. And all of this is saved in a folder. So now if we pass this on to other animators, we just send them the studio tool poses. So we're all kind of doing the exact same pose.
Yeah, and it helps it get done more quickly.
And all of them are under the folder for COT. So pretty cool.
It is very smart, especially for pipeline. Like whether you're an animator or not, just getting it, especially for indie stuff, you do save a lot of money because you can spend a lot of time doing that. And if you do hire out animators, you also save a lot of money because you don't have to pay them to do every single thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's a super wasteful thing because you're constantly doing the same thing. You're just fixing these fingers doing this, which is just the worst thing in the world,
It's
right?
super
Oh my
tedious.
God, the finger's doing this. This thing is going that way. Um, so I just hated that we spent so much time doing that nonsense.
Yeah.
So this is now saved. You have it in your shelf. Even installing this thing is one of the easiest installations I've ever seen on anything related to Maya. You just have a mel file and you just drag it into the user interface, and then it just automatically does all the work and copies over the files for you. It's the easiest install
Oh,
ever.
it's such a great tool.
Yeah, and you could change, the color of your entire interface if you wanted to. Like, it's pretty nice.
I
So
remember, yeah, I remember like for me, animation is so difficult. I remember getting a mocap and be like, oh, I can this on an animation layer and fix the contact with the feet, and I couldn't do it.
oh, it's a pain in the butt for sure.
It was so hard. Uh, if you're just trying to do something that you don't specialize in.
Yeah, and the thing to remember is this is basically saving control control settings, these being the controls. So it's not necessarily just for fingers. You can do this for anything. So if you went in here and changed, I think the face is not going to work on this version. But if you grabbed this and did that, and you did this, right? You could save these two, just as an example.
So you're just using it for the hand, but it does much more than that.
Yeah, so you could see there it is. And now if I set these guys back to their default settings, right, and I click that, it's going to put it right back. So I have that pose saved. So it's any poses. I just happen to use it primarily for the hand. So let's just go to edit and we could move to the trash. Okay. Um, the only thing that I've been having issues with is I have this thing set to custom order, and I want to be able to rearrange these things, and it just does not let me move them around, because it would be ideal to almost have them from like fully closed to fully open and hyper extended, and I just have not been able to get that to work. You could see sort by and custom order is where you're supposed to do it. And what's weird is it actually worked one time. I was able to move a few of them around, and then it never worked after that. So I have to figure out why that's happening. So very weird, but it worked exactly how you would think. Like, just grab this and drag it, and now it just does not work. And if you put it by name, you could do that. I mean, if you absolutely want to just hack it, you could just name them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's probably what I would
Yeah,
do.
and then it'll work. The only problem is if you have 100 of them and then you realize you need another one and that other one happens to be number 5, well, now you got to redo all the naming of the other one. So
Yeah.
anyway, really kick-ass tool. The one thing I just realized that I have to deal with now is, and let me just go back to that and see, is we have this guy referenced in now. And once it's referenced in, I think it is having a hard time finding that name. And that's a problem. So I have to figure that out, because now the naming is different because it's referenced in, and it says no object matches this name. So that's something I got to figure out. Yeah. Probably a simple way around it. There's no way that referencing is something that it hasn't.
Hasn't encountered before. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just have to figure that out. Well, not something that I'm an animator. This is all just
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. There's comments. Uh, Got to give annoying hand Anna the finger.
Yeah. Uh,
um, Here's a question. Is that filter icon at the top bar the same thing?
The filter icon. Oh, that's like by showing like mirror poses folder. Like you could filter out like names or whatever.
Yeah.
But so just as an example, you could see here on the face, if I know that there's a particular expression that I think looks cute as hell on this guy, let me just grab all of these shapes here and put them into this layer. Right, like just as an example.
He's
And
got
let's just,
the best smile.
he's got the best smile, yeah. And let's just do smile, smile. Let's do, let's see. Let's drag these two guys up. So freaking cute, this guy. Let's try the squint up. Let's do.
Can you open the mouth? Because when you see his teeth, that's when it's really cute.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh. Oh, that might have to be put onto the layer as well. Maybe this is too much.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
But whatever. The point is, you grab all of those guys. Let's grab the mouth here.
So the mouth is being controlled with that joint then. So it's not part like the mouth open. It's not part of the face rig.
That's controlled by the joint.
I see.
Yeah. You know, maybe this doesn't have to.
The face is holding together pretty well. That's where all like the combo shapes came in, huh?
Yeah.
He's really pushing all the expressions. It's very easy to break it and get something very, very strange.
But the moment you're happy with it, you just select all those controls, right? Pose. And if that's the smile that you like, let's call it something. Save it. Do you want to capture a thumbnail? Yes, there's the thumbnail. And now you have it. So let's just say I come over here and delete this layer. So everything will go back to neutral. Create a new layer. You see it's all gone. Just press that and there it is. So, for example, what would be great is like for Shraga, our face guy, to give us shapes that he really loves. Like this is the smile. This is this. Like he has specific shapes, and then put them in this library so the animators, even though it's mocap, they could push it. So if they see, oh, he's smiling there. Let's push that smile to our key pose,
Yeah.
our hero pose. So that would be a really cool thing to do. So you can see that's just saved there.
He would be really happy being able to do that too, I think.
Yeah. Let's go back to edit and we could just move to trash and there it is, it's gone. So studio library, pretty awesome. I just have to figure out the whole thing with referencing, but you could see it works great. And then let's take a look at it one more time with all the shapes.
I mean, there's a comment. Does it have to do with the name spacing?
It absolutely does.
Okay.
Yeah. It's because of the the referencing, yeah. So there he goes, cute as hell. Okay. So that's our little guy. You can see all the controls working awesome on the right hand side.
Yeah.
So I do have to figure out why his. I mean, I know what it is that's causing the whatchamacallit, the teeth to break out. Let me come over here. If I rotate this,
So there's something in the connection.
something is weird here. So let me see. Neck 1, neck 2.
This looks so complicated.
So that's correct. And then in the control rig, that should be. So I just have to figure out why it's not rotating the head. Let's try it with this one. So weird. So this head here, that's so weird. It's not rotating the head. This one here rotates correctly. That is not correct either. Yeah, so I got to figure it out why it's broken all of a sudden. So anyway, fun times.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's what I've been dealing with, and you can see why it's taking a long time, because it's a pain in the butt. So let me just try this one more time. So let's see. Why is this? So head joint. But look at that. When I select the head joint,
You know, like I don't even, and this is, and I don't deal with this part. So I'm gonna say this out loud. Miguel deals with all of this stuff. Um, I don't even understand like how you can take this rig with all the stuff that you have to do with it in Maya. How can you just take that and put that in Unreal? Because we talk about in our pipeline whether we're gonna go Alembic or try to use like the rigs.
yeah.
Because like when you be doing this all over again, or does this transfer over into Unreal?
You mean if you do like if you export to FBX?
Yeah.
No, it should technically bring everything over.
Okay.
So head bind, that's correct, and that's rotating fine. But look, the freaking teeth are not rotating correctly. Yeah, it's um. So you could see what the hell is going on.
So it's like his
So
teeth just come out of his face.
yeah, so I'm
So-
gonna try to see like the raw rig without the mocap just to see. So the threadlings, assets, character.
That's good troubleshooting, just to check at the
Yeah.
at what it is.
So okay, so this is the raw rig. So if I were to grab the head and rotate it,
Oh, it's in the rig, right? We just saw that.
yeah. So let's just take a look at this. I want to see if there's any sort of weird. Yeah. So yeah, so you can see the head is broken. So now I could look at another one of the characters. So let's take a look.
But in this situation, you have to send it back to the rigger, right? To be fixed. Because that looks clear like a rig problem.
Yeah. Professor. So let's see this one. So that's working fine. That's working fine. And then we could look at our clip reader. And the face is working fine. So let's just try one more thing. So that's that. Uh, yeah, the rigs have been problematic. So yeah, so cot is still broken. Yeah. Okay. And let's see Mayo real quick. Voice in the hollow. Let's see.
I feel like this process is so much work.
It is a lot of work. Yeah. Let's see.
So just for the silence, Miguel is looking for the file.
Yeah.
I just narrate his actions. That I'm looking over his other monitor. Whenever we have our cameras on, it seems to like really mess up the stream. I mean, we are literally sitting next to each other, so that has to, I don't know, play some kind of weight to like stream two monitors or something.
Yeah. Keep.
Well, yeah, I guess it's still digging stuff up. Um, let's see. You almost found it.
No. So let's see how he's working.
Oh, he's naked. So,
So I do have an updated version of this. So give me 1 second.
Mayo looks really, really funny. In this version, the eyes are the problem, or what's changed from this version to the one to the new one?
The eyes are fixed. Yeah. Let me see what's going on here.
His eyes are really tricky because he doesn't have the same kind of blink that all the other characters have. They blink like what you think a typical eye does, and his kind of are not like that at all. They swivel around. They do weird stuff.
Okay, so let's take a look at that and see if that works. His eyes have been very difficult to get working.
You know, the other thing is I notice sometimes when you're getting these files back, they have like you have a screen ambient occlusion, and that's really hard on on like the graphics card. This is what it looks like, and that should perform a little bit easier.
Yeah. So he's good. So let's see, the head rotates correctly. The teeth are sticking into place. So that's good.
Yeah, so you guys can see how much troubleshooting there is. Um, just trying to figure out why things don't work, whether it's like something that Miguel did wrong or if it's some other source. But it's just so time consuming.
Yeah. Rigging is one of those things that I feel like if we kept making more and more short films, like it's just something that we have to end up learning how to do because it always is tough on us.
Yeah, I think that's like what usually
Slows us down.
it slows us down. And usually it's because we don't do it and we don't have full time riggers because you're just hiring someone for X amount of time, and even if they do a good job, you just don't have their full support, right?
Yeah.
Like as a full time rigger. So when something needs to be fixed, you're like, can this be fixed?
Yeah.
And that's the thing about like indie short films. Like you have to be prepared to do pretty much most of it. That's the one lesson.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I got. Tran, do you want to show some stuff?
I mean, I just have texturing stuff, which I can pull up.
How
I
funny he looks.
I feel like I've been kind of showing. There's someone asking. It's the story behind the painting. Could you tell me, please? What painting? What painting is this question referring to? Is it like your desktop?
What desktop?
I don't know
They
because
can't see the desktop.
well, when you minimize. But yeah, I don't know what painting you mean. So if you can specify, I think the answer is yes. I think that means your desktop. That's a Voice in the Hollow poster.
This? That's the Voice in the Hollow poster. That's the poster for our old film.
Yeah. So our first previous one.
Yeah, see if I could open it up 1 second. Uh,
I'll share my screen while you're looking. So I guess for me, um, I am doing new things. It's just like every week I'm like, hey, here's another thing that looks really similar to the other thing. Um, and the process really hasn't changed. And there's not really any new technique that I really have to show other than this is what I'm doing this week. And that's what it is here. So I started working on the extras. I am doing a lot. So it's very easy to get overwhelmed. Um, I mean, I do have this open just for anyone joining for the first time, right? So this environment is very complete. It does need some some props and things like that, which we have someone helping that on us with that. Um, but there's still more, a little bit more environment stuff to do. And I've been kind of jumping around. I did the characters and now I'm working on the extras. And just to try to save time, we just come up with like different face masks. And again, if you were here last week, you know what I'm talking about. But if you weren't, then um, now you can see that. Okay. So facial expressions, as you saw, like Miguel starting this stream out, it's like he was saying like we have 52 and maybe 52 shapes and 100 combo shapes. The combo shapes, just to explain, and I might not be saying it technically correctly, but basically if you have like and we'll get to my long-winded point because I know I'm getting long-winded here. But if you have like a smile, right? That's a character. Okay. And then you have a frown, and they're both really extreme. They work by themselves, but facial expressions can have a combination of those two added together, or some amount of them added together. And the moment they are added together, you usually get something super messed up. So you have to create like a third shape, and that's a combo shape that fixes it. I mean, that's the best way I can explain it. So considering how much work that is, we obviously can't do that for all the background characters. We have come up with certain solutions um, where they're going to be more like Muppets, right? Because if you ever think about what the way a Muppet talks, they're like sock puppets. They're not as expressive as our main characters, and that's probably fine. And the other solution that we have is just placing like these masks on top of them. They look pretty cool. They are like a colony that has like warriors and fighters that are defending against the moth. So I think this works out. So this week that's what I was working on, is building this and then also trying to texture this. So it's quite a bit of work. Um, so I don't know. I mean, it's kind of similar stuff, but it's always kind of I mean, that's what my life is. It's a little bit redundant at the moment, but I'm just using this guy here. I have my UVs. I have my eyes. I do have a system, kind of like the way Miguel showed how he does the hand poses. So if you notice one thing here in the UVs, I'll just hide this other stuff. Every section that is quilted, it's all different colors. So it's very quick for me to actually introduce like color variations and different cloth types. And I created a bunch of smart materials. So you can actually texture this extremely fast. So it's like a pipeline, right? So like the mask initially looks maybe something like this. And it was created in Marvelous. It is actually super dense. I'll kind of show the wireframe for anyone who's a little bit curious. That is a very dense mesh. And it holds all the details in. That stuff could be baked down as a Nora map. I just don't think it looks that good. It always looks really a bit gamey, and that's not the look we want. Now, once I have something like that, I'll throw in a smart material I created. The smart material is super simple. It's just basically different cloth types. And then the other thing I also have on is that I have subsurface scattering. So you can see what this looks like without subsurface scattering. It doesn't feel quite as soft. But the moment you turn it on, it feels much softer like cloth. And then I can introduce a different type of fabric, like this linen here. And you can see it holds up extremely well because there's a lot of resolution, right? So these are very dense meshes with a lot of texture resolution. Doesn't seem like that much, but for our world it is. And then I can also introduce a third type of fabric, right? So it's not the same one. And the signing of them is actually really fast. So back in the old days, it used to take a super long time to mask things out. I don't know if there's any texture artists in listening, but if you're a texture artist, you know how long something could take to mask out. So, it could be something like if this was connected, right? Or if this was not disconnected, when you're painting the mask, you really have to put a lot of work, and you'd have to be carefully tracing all this stuff. And with the substance tool, you have the polyfill tool. You can tell it to select UV shells, which is the most optimal. You do have this mode, which does faces, but you can also spend a long time doing this, right? So the pipeline is built to make it really quick. I can quickly just add a layer and just say, you know, wherever I'm filling here and it's being mirrored over, that will be the actual cloth type. So again, that's actually super fast once this is all set up. And the next step I have is just choosing a few other things. Like, actually, it was one of our artists that introduced this cloth material. We did use this on Voice in the Hollow. I don't know why she chose it, but it worked perfect. And we wanted some metallic cloth because it just has this feeling of a different type of texture. It feels more like armor. It's not armor. It's just like metallic cloth, right? So quickly you can introduce our different variations here. And then on top of that, what I'll do is I'll create like color variations, right? So this will be one color here. And this next layer will be this other color. And then again, I'm just using like mask to quickly fill them in using the same technique. And then this one here is really interesting. I'll turn these other ones off. So this is all under one fill layer. And the way this is done, and I actually picked this up from our team that we hired. I didn't even think about doing this way. They're super clever. I'll have 3 layers in my mask layer. The first one will be 100% opaque. The next one is 90% opaque, right? So you can see the gray value. And this last one is 73. What that does, when it fills in with this color, it just gives me that range. So now I have within one layer something very adjustable, and I can just change it. Like maybe I want it a little bit lighter. But very quickly I have this nice variation and kind of fast pattern. And I'll just do a third one just to give it a different color. And then let me turn on these other ones because I turned them off. You can see how quickly I have like a very interesting look here. And then there's like the red crystal motif. The last layer I have here is just a quick color correction. So it's in case we don't want everything to be red and maybe you want to go back to a more monochromatic feeling. We're actually masking by UV Island because that's faster, right? And then the last thing here, this is also a smart material that I created. What it does is that it's very easy for all the creasing to get lost. So all you have to do is just throw this material on top. And you can see how it punches it up. You can also control the strength. So one of them is actually adding more height information. You can see it in the normal map here, right? So before, and then what that does is enhances the edges. And then the other one is it adds like an extra crinkle, so, which is just a crinkled paper. But it's just more details. And you know, it's a super fast workflow. I basically, once I created my first mask, I created a smart material in Substance. So if you check out, like, it's just pausing. I'll type thread, and then there's an owl one here. And if I start with, you know, maybe I'll just delete everything. Yeah, let's just see what happens. I'll just delete that. So I basically have nothing again. And I can dump the smart material in. And it has all the layers that I was just showing you. So this is automatic assignment. And I guess if you get like, you just crunch in time, you have no time, you could kind of start with something like this and just kind of correct it. Let's make it red again. You can see it doesn't do perfect. It has some splotches, but for just like auto texturing, that's pretty cool, right? So this part can be super fast. Let's go to my history. I'm gonna try to go back before I delete everything. Here we are. The hardest part is just the stitching part. It's not even that bad. It's like really relaxing, to be honest. So if I use like the path tool over here, which is the newer tool, and it's an incredible tool, you have to use a regular paint layer. I can choose my stitch color, like maybe this orange one. Make sure you choose the correct material. Some of the setting here, I wish it just automatic because it's, I don't know how anyone figures this out. Because it took me a while to figure out you have to change your alpha, you have to turn on follow path. You got to adjust your spacing. The brush size is probably too big. Let's start at 3. And then again, I'll just choose the color. And then we have rules for what kinds of stitches we are allowed to use. Well, we as in, like I said, what we are allowed to use. And then you can just draw the stitch out. And you can see how flexible that is. Now, I can get a few stitches in, not totally think it's there. I think they look too thin. And you can actually adjust the thickness. And the spacing, initially when you're drawing this, usually the spacing is off. So you, if the number is really high over here, you just draw this and be like super confused. So normally you have to lower it. And then you can see here if the spacing number, and this is where it takes like dialing. The spacing number is not right. You just have like, I don't know what that is, right? But you can get into the ballpark and get something like that. And if I wanted to change my mind on the size of this, I might determine it's too large for that area. Or I can just say it's just not really responding well, because sometimes in the areas that are very tight, they'll kind of bleed into other sections you don't mean them to bleed into. And usually it's best to work with less points, but I just use whatever I can and whatever I need. And then I can just, you know, keep making them. And again, it's pretty meditative. It doesn't take too long to actually do this. And I kind of need to do this because I need to like vary my task. Otherwise, it gets really difficult doing the same exact thing uh, for a long time. And but that's part of like working too. You know, if you work, what one thing I will say that I try to run away from whenever, um, especially when I used to work more inside a studio in house, is that if I saw like a movie and the movie had like a lot of like brick buildings or rocks, I usually like try not to do that as much as I can. Like if you initially get signed doing that, you could be stuck doing rocks and brick buildings for the rest of your time. Rocks are really hard, and bricks can be really tedious, and they're not as bad as rocks. I think rocks are like really hard to do and really tiresome to do for like 1 year or something like that. But in this case, you know, we got to do what we got to do. Miguel, any thoughts?
No, I'm just trying to I'm trying to figure out why this rig is still not working. So I'm just talking to the riggers right now.
Yeah, that sounds, it just seems really difficult.
The thing that's super stressful is every time it breaks and we send it and something is fixed and then we reset everything back up,
Oh,
all the mocaps up. I set everything back up, yeah.
you have to redo
I have
everything.
to redo everything and then it breaks again and you have to redo everything again. So it's just
Yeah,
yeah, I think the stress in my voice should be pretty obvious.
yeah,
But I should not be the head should not be rotating at this point. Um, yeah,
yep.
like come on, test the freaking head rotation. We're not talking about like the pinky of the toe, right? Like we're talking about the head. Test the head rotation.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, that's just this is how it is. Um, I think it comes down to the fact that you are an indie filmmaker, and anyone you get to help you, you only have X amount of their time. and then you kind of have to just piece that together. But it's like Miguel was saying though, like eventually, if we kept making shorts, one of us would be like, we have to learn how to rig. I did take a course, and I mentioned it like last year. I took it last year. I took a Niagara course for Unreal. Niagara's effects for Unreal, and it was because I know that I probably need to start learning more, more skills for what it is that we're doing, because we're going to have like magic and things like that. Um, that's life. But I don't think it's bad though. I think it's made me a better artist, ultimately, because when Miguel and I first started this journey, um, it was our first short, which was the Green Root Pumpkin. Let's see if I can pull it up. I won't play it, but I'll pull up the screen like this. This came out 11 years ago, so that's when we finished it back in the days. And this is Dan. Dan's still our composer. Um, but when we started this, I definitely wasn't good enough to do this. I knew how to model and I could texture, but that was it, really. Like, I didn't know how to light very well, or like work, handle shots. It was such a hard project for us. And then if I were to try to do this now, I mean, this is 3 minutes long. If I try to do this now, it would be like really easy compared to like what we did back then. So, you do pick up new skills, which is nice. And I do think it made me a much better artist, which applies to like my other work. I'm sorry, guys, I'm just talking about myself. Sorry. I was not good at composing things. So back then, like if I had to compose like or frame a shot, it was just so hard. And I think we reframed multiple shots over and over until we got better at it.
When you say compose shots, sorry, because I was focusing on this. Are you talking about the composition of the shot?
Yeah, like I didn't understand composition. Like I remember as a student, um, I'd be in painting class, and it would be like a life drawing or whatever. So like you'd have like a figure here, and then like that would be like this be me. Okay, I can't draw well. Um, Sitting right here, and my painting wasn't this big. Character and like all weird, and I have all this like horrible space. Like I just had no sense of composition. I didn't know how to go and frame like a shot and not make it look terrible. It was like my first instinct was like how, to make it the worst that it could possibly be. And then by us doing our own shorts, I did get better at composition, you know, because you have to, or you're just going to have really terrible compositions in your stuff. And it does help your personal work too. So like, I feel like if I were to do personal pieces that are just like flat and there's no animation, it's just one image, it would just be stronger. How's that going?
It's completely broke. The head is completely broken on him. So yeah.
Do you want to show? Can I see?
No, it's just there's nothing to show. It's the same as before. Just the head.
Oh, so the head doesn't even rotate. Was the head supposed to rotate too?
Of course, the head's supposed to rotate.
I didn't even understand what that was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Can, if you guys can see his little monitor. Okay.
Yeah, his head just doesn't rotate. That's the control for the head rotation.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, here's a nice comment. I learned so much through texture and shading too about composition. It was really what I struggle with. Okay, so then someone's listening to my rambling. Oh yeah, I understand. I teach texturing and shading too at Gnomon, and the students have to do a very simple still image, and it's hard. when I say simple, it's not really simple. It's like difficult getting the composition down. So I understand like what they're trying to do. But you know, you exercise that muscle all the time when you're making it short. You're like, oh well, here's the next shot. Here's another composition, like constantly. Um, and again, I feel like it does affect my personal work. I don't know. Anything you want to add to that?
My mind is somewhere completely different.
Yeah, I know because you just found something bad.
Yeah.
Uh, and I guess just so we're on this topic, I don't know if my compositions are that great. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm about to pull something up, and you guys are gonna be like, "Tran, your composition sucks."
Let's see.
Yeah, it's okay. I did learn, you know, that's my personal work. So it's my work just by myself, and I feel like it has composition. Back in the old days, for some reason, when I had to put like if I had to do a portrait, like I would do something really weird. Like I would have composed it like this, and her face would have been like cut off or something like that, like very odd or very strange. But I don't have that much problems anymore because I'm constantly using that muscle. Oops. Anyway,
I think we're gonna cut it a little bit short today because we yeah.
yeah, we're having some trouble.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we'll be back next week. We'll have more cool stuff to show. We're sorry that today was a little crap, Zola, but yeah, we're just having issues on our end. So, all right. So we'll see you guys next week, and thank you so much, and talk to you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.